Hi, I'm Andrew Stavis, and I'm a freshman at Eastern Arizona College. I'm majoring in computer information systems, and today I'll be interviewing Liliana Arguello. Lili is a membership manager at PIHRA. For those of you that don't know, PIHRA stands for the Professionals in Human Resources Association. Lili is also a member of CalSAE. CalSAE stands for the California Society of Association Executives. Hello, Lili.
Hi, how are you,
Um,
Andrew?
I'm doing good. Could you describe kind of what your typical workday entails for your first few years in your career? So, like when you were just starting out, what did a typical workday look like for you?
Immediately after college, I usually went into the office and checked my calendar and checked emails and checked my voicemail immediately.
Hmm.
That was kind of a different time than now, right?
Yeah.
But one of my priorities was to make sure that um, the person I reported to, that all of that person's needs were met because he was the senior consultant of the firm I was at. So basically, the livelihood of the firm depended on him.
All
And
right.
also making sure that any of our clients' needs were met. So those were my two priorities as soon as I got into the office. Um, and I, I was fielding calls from clients, doing that anywhere to, working till 3 in the morning to complete assessment, organizational assessment reports that needed to go out. So it was some of those days were long days.
All right. Cool. Um, so, do you think that that has changed much in recent years, or has this kind of stayed the same as it's always been for the last like several years? Or should people going into that field right now be looking for something slightly different, or is it stayed relatively the same?
Well, I think with the higher use of technologies and smartphones, I
Hmm.
think people are able to have more flexibility now. So work-life balance has become much more important. I think that people uh, are finding ways to be more efficient and effective without necessarily having those long days at the office. So um, I you're likely not going to check voicemail as much as
Right.
I did in that time frame. And again, I just think people have more work-life balance nowadays.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds like things have kind of mellowed out in the last couple of years. It sounds like a much better place to be right now, right?
I think so. I think that the newer generations have, and my generation, I think, was at the
Hmm.
cutting edge of that,
All right.
where we needed more time with our families. We needed more refresh time because I think people can get burnt out. We also needed time
Yeah.
to give back to the community, and I know that's really important to the generation that's coming into the workforce now, is to have that time with friends and family and giving back to their community.
All right. Thank you. So like you went to high school and college, I'm assuming, right? Like everybody does. What courses have you found to be like most important, or if not courses, what skills do you think that you developed in high school and college that became most important to you in your current chosen field?
Well, I also went to graduate school. I have a master's
Okay.
in business. So I think that you have to know that as I respond.
All right. That.
I
Thank
think
you.
the most important thing for me now, in retrospect, is the leadership building skills. So it wasn't, obviously, there's some technical skills that I wish I would have focused on more, and I'll get into that. But it's
All right.
really that extracurricular work and or the working in teams and leading teams in group projects, or
Hmm.
the extracurricular piece is perhaps becoming the editor of a newspaper, or the vice president of the computer science club, or
All
something
right.
like that. Those are really the skills that help you move projects along, and that's really what needs to happen nowadays, is getting the job done. So that was the most important thing. I think those finance classes, the statistics classes, are important to me because I lack in those areas. I'm more of a humanities person. So I think that if I was speaking to a young person, I would say, focus on the leadership development by volunteering, being a volunteer leader, and also because that provides some of the people skills that you need.
Right.
But those technical skills, the math skills, the science skills, the statistics, don't take those for granted. Really, really work hard on those because the data helps inform everything.
All right. So it sounds like what you're saying is be active in the community, kind of give back, go out there, meet new people, work on your personal skills, but also try and focus on new and upcoming technologies and make yourself be fluent in things like Excel and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely. And Excel's just the beginning, right? So there's all kinds of there's social media, there's different ways of networking using apps. There are tons of other things that you need to be looking at. Now, even coding. I really suggest, I want to take a coding class. I suggest that everyone take a coding class, actually.
See, that means a lot to me because I'm personally a programmer. I feel like not enough people really appreciate coding, even people that don't like code for a living. I still feel like they should at least know a little bit of the basics.
I think so.
Yeah.
I agree with you, actually, because if you don't have even a small sense of the use of technology, I mean, I think that's how, people my age are being kind of washed up, for lack of a better word, is because we're not appreciating that skill set. It's not really just the actual function of coding, but it's the thinking, the algorithmic thinking, and the problem solving that comes with that, if that makes sense.
So you mentioned earlier to be like active in your community and get leadership roles. What kind of part-time jobs or apprentices or like internships would you personally recommend for someone going into your chosen field of work?
So I'm a little biased. I'm going to talk about fellowships, actually. So after I went to UCLA, and after I graduated, I was really interested in getting my MBA. And I found a fellowship at the UCLA Graduate School of Management, Anderson. It's called the Reardon Fellows. And it was a program of 9 months, and it led you through some academic coursework, some field work, some teamwork, and a community service project. So it's not just about internships, although those are great. It's about looking for different sorts of fellowships, structured programs that connect you with other like-minded people and other people pursuing your same dreams, and also people who have already pursued that path. So the next thing is, what's tied to that is mentorship. So I think that as you look for internships and part-time jobs and things like that, you want to also do informational interviews and seek out people that you admire, maybe because they started a company that is of interest to you, or that grew, very quickly, or that they perhaps reached certain goals that were unprecedented for their social demographic status, or something like that. So again, fellowships and mentorship is really important, and through that you'll get the internships.
All right. So it sounds to me like you're saying a lot of it is very community driven. So you want to seek out like-minded people. Like, have you ever heard the saying that if you're the biggest fish in your pond, move to a different pond?
Yes.
I feel like that's a lot what you're saying, right? Look for people that are bigger than you. Look for ways that you can learn, and not just like get an internship where you go and shuffle papers all summer and then you go back to school and you just mark down the hours. It sounds like you're saying you should go and seek out internships where you're like one-on-one working with somebody that's already a professional in the field. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really, I love working with youth. And when I work with them, I ask them to seek out leadership opportunity. And so that you're not just there doing what someone tells you, although it's part of it, but
Yeah.
that you also listen to, and that you're working with someone who's listening to your ideas, and that you're able to do something active, like analyze, manage, create, brainstorm. So some of those opportunities may be unpaid.
All right.
So it's not just about community, it's about how are you developing your brain in such a way that so that you're thinking and you're learning about the thinking process and really adding value somewhere.
All right. So going on a little bit of a tangent here, what are some of the benefits that you get from being a member of CalSAE?
So for me personally, I think it's the educational piece. I have a background in strategic planning and organizational development, and not necessarily membership marketing and management. And so it's just kind of getting best practices in terms of how metrics are calculated and distributed, and you know, how to best interact with volunteers and members is what I get a lot out of that membership. But there's also a great database of forms and a great knowledge base on their site.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, it's the connections. And I know I'm overemphasizing that, but I cannot stress enough how important it is building relationships throughout your academic and professional life, because people work with people they like.
Right.
And so you want to be likable, yet also have an excellent work ethic and product.
Right.
So you want to make those connections. I know there's a statistic out there that 80% of the job seekers who get a job get it through their network.
Yeah. I think I once read a similar statistic where it said that big universities like Harvard, Yale, and Princeton and stuff like that. And I know what I'm about to say is a kind of a little controversial, but from what I understand, this article that I read said that they provide an equivalent education of a lot of other big universities, like the University of Arizona, University of Chicago, places like that. But the reason they're so high up there is because all the other successful people already went there. And so what you get from those places is the connections, is you get to mingle with other like-minded people and really just kind of launch yourself into the stars with them.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm in Southern California, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
a UCLA Bruin. Our rival are the USC Trojans, right? But
Right.
you know, we cannot compete. You know, I'm sure this is controversial as well, but we cannot compete with the USC alumna.
No?
No, they have a very strong, close-knit alumni group, and they have very successful people and
Mm-hmm.
wealthy people in their alumni group. And it's just easy to, you know, for example, if you're using LinkedIn and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is a USC grad, I'm a USC grad, that's an immediate connection.
Right.
I tend to use it in the opposite way, like, oh, I'm a Trojan, and I kind of make fun of it. But
Mm-hmm.
we're also, you know, connected here because we're in Southern California. But you hit it on the head. You know, USC, Harvard, Princeton, Yale. I mean, there's something to say. There's kind of like a brotherhood and sisterhood
Right.
when you both go to the same college. It's easier to approach people that way.
All right. So going back kind of on topic, because that was a little bit of tangent there. Sorry for
I
diverting
think it was
us.
good though.
Yeah. Um, so when you first entered this career, what did you find most surprising about the career? Or what was something interesting or something that you didn't like that you didn't expect? Or something that like you didn't see coming?
You know, I didn't realize that I would get such a charge out of helping organizations and people be successful. Um, it really warms my heart when I hear that a member, for example, was able to get the job that she wanted because of a connection she made through our organization, or
Right.
she passed an exam because of the prep course that she took through our organization, or that she was able to get some visibility as a leader in her organization because she took on a volunteer leadership position here with us. So, hearing the success stories from other people really charges me. And I never realized that, seeing other people achieve would have that impact on me.
All right. That sounds like a really awesome like thing to have, being able to go out there and help people and like take part in their success on a daily basis. Sounds like a really cool career. So what are some of the educational programs offered by CalSAE? I know you mentioned educational programs a little earlier. You mind diving into the specifics of that a little bit?
Sure. So I actually just got back from Monterey, California, where they had the CalSAE Elevate conference. It's a 3-day conference. There are, I think around 4 to 6 learning sessions that you choose from. So I think there's 4 time slots. Each time slot has 3 sessions. So you can go to up to 4 to 6, I think, per day.
All right.
And so I always leave from those sorts of things with a lot of contacts and a lot of info that's gathered through the sessions. And also just kind of some personal feedback on how am I pitching things. So that's a really good one. They also have ongoing ones in our local area. I think I like the more social ones myself.
Uh-huh.
I get to meet people and interact people, and just there's a lot to say when you share food. Like, have you heard of breaking bread with people?
Yeah.
So when you're sharing food or you're sharing a laugh, that it goes a long way. And I know it helps refresh me. And when I get back to the office, I feel good. It's like, okay, now I'm back, back to
Right.
work. But so kind of having a good time and the learning as a part of that.
All right.
I take away.
So not just seeing everybody in like the white sterile environment of the office or whatever, it's being able to interact with them on a more human level, and being
Yes.
able to enjoy what they enjoy and vice versa.
Yes, I think it's important. And I'm lucky that I have one of those careers that lends itself to that. But I will, I'll say this, that those people who do, I'm pretty independent thinker. I consider myself a green. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but I do
No,
like to
I haven't.
retreat and go into data. And, even though I'm not great at it, it's like, okay, what is this data saying? So I like to kind of shut my door and do that.
All right.
But there's also a lot to say for that human connection and the relationship building.
All right. Cool. All right. So I am personally like a computer science major. I am also majoring in business. So I would likely see myself working in entrepreneurship, or if not that, then I easily see myself at least applying for jobs sometime in the future. You as like a HR kind of person, what would you recommend for someone like me that's going into the workforce to put on their resume, or what to do during interviews and such like that to help me get a more secure chance at getting the job that I'm shooting for?
So on your resume, whatever you do on the resume, you want to note your achievements. So and tell a story in the resume. So you want to make sure that it's catching their eye.
Right.
Also that you're quantifying your achievement in some sort of way, and not just kind of putting a bunch of bullet points down. So you want to be concise, you want to be straight to the point, and you want to be achievement oriented. So that's my recommendation with the resume. When you're applying, you want to also, this is a secret that I've heard, is you want to repeat some of the same words that they're using in the job requisition. So
Okay.
a lot of times there's a computer picking up, what's in your resume and matching
Right.
it with the rec. Then once you get the call, I think it's important to ask really good questions and to be personable. You
All
want
right.
to make sure, I know that's what I look for. I'm making sure that the person is a good fit. So you want to do a little research and contact people on LinkedIn that work there and let them know, hey, I'm going for this position. Do you have any pointers for me? What's the culture like? How should I treat the person that I meet when I get in the door? Or how should I treat the person that I'm going to be meeting? Who is this person? What are they like? So do your research. And again, just you want to be yourself.
All right.
You also want to come in into the situation as you are an asset to them. You're going to help them solve some problems, and you are also about building a relationship, because you want this to be a job you love.
All right.
And you want them to want you to be there. So hopefully that makes sense to you.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, the person that's interviewing you, like, especially if it's a small company, they're also going to be working with you on a daily basis. So they want to see if, like, even if you do have all the requirements, if you just don't get along with them, they're not likely to hire you. So it sounds like be personable, be friendly, and show that you care about that company and you care about them, and that you're willing to help build up their vision.
Yeah, and at the same time, you want to kind of mimic them. You don't want to be too, unless that's who you are. So
All
you
right.
don't want to be overly friendly if they're very professional. So you that's why I said do your research.
Okay.
Because you may run into a very, very formal type of group. The other thing is get the job that you love.
All right.
You know what you love. And I made a mistake sometimes of sitting through an interview with someone that I knew I didn't want to work with. And so one of my mentors told me that, you know what, if that person in that position wasn't right, you have all the right in the world to stop the interview and say, thank you so much for your time, but I just don't think this is a position for me. And, not waste time on something that you don't think is going to be for you.
All right. Thank you for your advice, Lily. And thank you for being here with me today. Do you have any last comments or anything like that?
No, I'm proud of what you've told me that you want to do, and I'm really excited for you. And let me know if there's anything else I can do to help.
All right. Thank you, Lily. I'll see you around.